Hi, good evening, one and all. This is Shikha Gupta this side, and I am from iEducationalize. My sincere thanks to IMS Dia for giving us this opportunity to conduct this webinar on to the topic of future of UX and communication design, specifically in this rapidly changing world. Our mentors for today are Mr. Anirban Lahiri, representing IMS Dia. Along with that, we also have the guest speaker for today, Mr. Trinankur. Both of them will be giving us an insight into this ever evolving, changing landscape. Along with that, to the students who have been part of this webinar, an opportunity for you to understand why this career is one of the fastest growing career globally. What are the requirements? And when we talk about the futuristic approach, how this career revolves around that. Lots of talk has been done in terms of understanding AI. Every career is being revolved around AI. When we talk about communication design or UX, the story of UX, where do you see AI? For the students, what should be your roadmap in planning this journey? As well as the hand holding, which will be provided by both the mentors today, will be an opportunity for you all to take that learning forward. I request you all post session, please connect with both of them through their LinkedIn account, through their Insta account, and take that support and handholding. For the counselors who have joined us across from various school, this will be an opportunity for you to pass on this information to your students into this changing landscape to help them take the mentorship, assistance, guidance, and understand thoroughly about this domain. We have shared profile of our mentors today with all of you. And without any further ado, I would like to welcome our mentors, Mr. Anirban and Mr. Trinankur, to take the show ahead. We welcome both of you. Thank you so much for joining in. Anirban sir, we would like to start it with you, and then I also would request you to take ahead with our guest speaker for the day, Mr. Trinankur, for the sessions, and post the talk from both of you. We would be going ahead with addressing the questions, which after going through the PPT and listening to the talks, I'm sure the students, the counselors, they would be having it.
Sure. Thank you, Shikha. I am going to present our institute later at the end. For now, let me say that it's a very good design college in Noida. We have 5 different departments, and communication design is one of them. It's one of the newest departments, but we had something similar before. We had multimedia and animation. And communication design is something, we'll talk about the department, what it does. Communication is design is something which everyone requires. All the other departments, all the other design streams, everyone requires, because we help to sell ideas, service, products. We help we help to change people's mind when they think of something. We help people, or rather, we convince people to buy an idea, to purchase a product or a service. So everyone requires communication design, and we know these days UX design is hot. It's a part of communication design. You can ask me later, after all these are done, how UX design is embedded in the overall scene of communication design, how it's related to other parts of communication design. For the time, it suffices to say that communication design is a field of education. It's like an umbrella, and under that, UX design is a main branch. I will start with the PowerPoint presentation to help you understand what is UX, and let it be an interactive discussion. So anytime you can ask me questions in chat and I will answer that. That will be best. Just a moment, I will show something, because it's always easier to understand any concept when I show it, show and tell. Is my screen coming? I don't think it's not yet here.
Sir, it's already loaded. We are viewing
It's
your
already loaded, right?
Yeah. First slide is loaded. Trinankur sir, I think you can also see the screen, right?
I think I will
I'll
go
send
like
you the
this,
unmute
because it
request.
will.
Yeah, I can see
The
the screen.
screen
Sorry,
is
so
properly
mute.
visible, right? So
Very clearly visible, the story of
Yes,
UX
yeah.
from cave walls to conversational AI.
Yes. Fine. So the story of UX can be roughly broken into 5 ages. We'll talk a little about that. UX is not only web design, it's not limited to app design or game interface design, although all these come under UX. Can anyone tell me what you understand by UX? It's an acronym. It's an abbreviation or acronym for something. You can write it in chat. Anyone knows what UX means?
I request you all to please write here in the chat box.
Yeah.
Sir, I have received 2 replies. As
Okay.
you want me to read it out?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. User experience from Mr. Arav Yadav.
Okay. Yes, it is user experience. What is user experience? Let's see that. People say UX UI, they are not wrong, but everything comes under UX, be it interaction design, be it game interface design, be it user interface design, like website, apps, everything comes under UX design. Let's see where it, and for that we will go not a little back, go long back in history to another timeline. As you can see, what exactly is UX? I hear students, high school students like you, everyone wants to join UX, it's hot. But what exactly is UX? 15, 20 years ago, people talked about website design, but UX, the term was already there. It's not very new. Someone called Mr. Norman uh, started popularizing this term. We'll come to him also. But UX was already there. UX was always there since the beginning of civilization. User means user's experience. It can be my experience with this bottle. This bottle, if it, I mean, it's made of rubber. I mean, this part is covered by rubber. Had it been very smooth, slippery, it would have slipped from my hand. If it's a glass bottle and slippery, I won't be able to hold it like this. I need a handle. If it's a glass bottle and very slippery, the bottle will break and my experience will be bad. And I won't go for the same product again. So someone who wants me to buy a similar bottle must make a handle, must make this curvy handle, or must cover it with something which makes it gripable, less slippery. That's part of UX design. It encompasses, it includes all aspects of end users interaction. Who are the end users? The consumers. I can be consumer of a food. I can be consumer when I bought a new car. The car design, if it's inside, we call it ergonomics, but that's also part of UX design. If it's not comfy to sit inside, if the steering is too big or too small for my hand, if the gear can't be changed, like in many cars we have uh, automatically changing gear. I mean, 30, 35 years ago, it was much more difficult to change the gear of a car. There are a lot of bikes today where I mean, almost all bikes today, where it's self-ignition. You don't, you don't have to struggle with the clutch to change, I mean, to start the bike. There used to be a time, probably 40 years ago, in my childhood, where we had these kind of products. User experience was bad, new technologies came, the products changed to make people's lives more comfortable with those products. Who works with an old dumb phone, the old Nokia 3100? It's good because battery consumption is less. Some people may prefer. But I am not able to surf the internet, browse the internet. All social media are absent from that phone. There's nothing except for calling and very basic SMS, text messaging. There's nothing. So my experience with that phone is not very satisfactory. That's why with technology, smartphones came, then Android came. Android brought in many more things to line. And the new phones are like very powerful computers, sometimes more powerful than a computer, sometimes with an app like which I use regularly. like Photoshop or Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom for photo manipulations. My phone works sometimes better and quicker for manipulating a photograph, which I clicked with the phone in RAW mode. So all these are part of UX because of user experience with the product. Whenever technology was available, the product became much more suitable, comfortable. Let's see, and we can see here to make any product, or by product, I mean not only product, it can be a service like Vodafone service, Airtel service, or an internet broadband service like Hathway or Tata. So, or it can be a Indigo Airways service. For anything, there is an UX, there is a user experience. So we see that it's not limited to websites or apps, it's not limited to digital products. It can be physical products, it can be service. Also, when, say, I bring a new party to power to form the government, can be anything, can be anywhere. People revoted Trump in USA after their probably bad experience with Biden. Some people are happy, some people are not. That's not the point. But they voted a government out of power, brought another government in because their user experience with the old government was bad. The new government had promise, and UX that way is related to brand also, because we know brand means perception, experience, and promise. So experience was bad, perception became negative. Another party brought more promise. People voted the new party to power. So people voted out of UX. And we see that UX is not always connected or related to UI, if we mean website interface by UI. Let's go ahead. UX, I said UX was always there. Even 25,000 years ago, 30,000 years ago, UX was there. So there was a time before UX had a name. You can just quickly look at these 8 pointers and let's go there. When was UX founded? When UX started? Pre-1950, before 1950, but I will go back 25, 30,000 years ago. Early human factors. Before UX had a name. This is a cave painting, 25,000 years older. It's in Spain, Altamira. People, some of you may know about that. People who painted it, we don't really know for what they did, because at that time survival was difficult. And people who painted on high ceiling, they needed a team for that. And people painting day and night means they are not going for hunting. Other people are getting food for them. Food was rare, food crisis was there, food was limited, but they painted. They painted and created stories. They painted and created magic charm. They painted bisons, deer. They painted that the bisons and deer are hunted with spears. They are already dead. So probably we can assume, probably if we paint something like that today, tomorrow you'll be able to kill a bison. It's very much like voodooism. I make a small doll, put a needle through its heart, and that is a charm or is associated with the person will die of heart attack. So probably 30,000 years ago, these people were also creating similar charms, creating similar stories for record. They were codifying or they were recording their experience, and from their magic came. All these were part of magic. So UX, I mean, we call that UX. And what they did, that was their UI. That was like we have apps and websites today. They had cave paintings. Through cave paintings, they remembered stories. Through cave paintings, they planned next day's hunt. Through cave paintings, they created charm. And they felt, if I kill this animal or bunch of animals today with spear in our painting, tomorrow we will be able to actually kill a bison. Killing a bison is not easy. You can die. Bison is a very big bull. You can actually die. And people died, but they needed bison meat. They needed fruits and other things, but mostly everywhere we see animals. Animals are hunted. And everywhere we see that, not only in Spain, we see that everywhere, including India. If you go to, there are many places in India, but the most famous are the places near Bhopal and Chhattisgarh. If you go to Chhattisgarh, you can see this cave painting. If you go to Bhimbetka, which is practically Bhopal, the city's outskirts, you can see 25,000-year-old painting like that. Just a moment. Yeah, 25,000 years old painting like that. So that kind of UX was everywhere across the globe, except for Antarctica. Even in Australia, it was there, except for Antarctica. Everything, in every continent, every country, this kind of thing was there, and we call it UX only. There are other things like Feng Shui. We say Feng Shui, it will open. I'll just share. When we say Feng Shui, I mean, it opened something in my computer. When I click it, I'll just share. Uh, just to give you an idea. Yeah, I guess this is shared. So Feng Shui is also an interface. We know it's a Chinese, like we have Vastu Shastra. It's the Chinese equivalent. They have yin and yang, the complementary energy, like male, female, like we have Purush Prakriti. But using this, I'm not going into this, using this, they can lead their daily life. It was like their compass for life. And ask any designer, UX designer, they will say that this is done from their UX and this is their UI, user interface to lead life. Even zodiac signs, astrology, tarot, these are similar UI and they were created from UX. So UX, UI are not new terms. I'm not going into the other things. I'll just show you one or two more things before we uh, go back. So, yeah, Greek tools. There was a Greek philosopher, scientist called Hippocrates. Probably you know about him. Hippocrates was the father of medicine, pioneer medical surgeon, doctor, 2000 years ago, more than 2000 years ago, 2500 years ago. And even today, doctors take Hippocratic oath before they can become doctors, before they get their registration. Hippocrates created certain morals for doctors to follow. He also had a design for for a clinic, for a surgery room, how a surgery room should be structured. So today, when we see that doctors wear those light green or light blue aprons, so that blood looks black, blood doesn't look like fear mongering, like fearful. Those design ideas came from Hippocrates. Leonardo da Vinci. Much later, we jump uh, we jump more than 1000 years. We jump 2000 years actually, from 500 BC, from the time of Buddha, when Hippocrates was there, 1500, when Mughals were in India. At that time, in Europe, Leonardo da Vinci came, 1475, if I'm not wrong. He was born. And he was a major artist, scientist, whatever you call him, musician, architect, everything. We call that polymath, the Renaissance man. Da Vinci was given a task of designing a Grand Duke's, Duke is like a Zamindar, landlord, a Grand Duke's food party, carnival. For that, he created conveyor belt. You know conveyor belt? In airport, we use conveyor belt. In security, at many places, all malls, we use not conveyor belt, but it's almost like conveyor belt. So Da Vinci, more than 500 years from now, he created a conveyor belt and we still use his designs. I'll show some designs by Da Vinci and all of them are examples of UI, which he created using users' experience. There is user experience research. Trinankur probably will talk a little about it. I'm not going into that. I will show you some images from Da Vinci's works. And you can get some idea what kind of things people were doing 500 years ago. This is the first photo which I'm going to show you is definitely not by Da Vinci, but he created a plan like this. We have the description of the plan, but unfortunately, at least I don't have an image, but I will show you some other images which are created by Da Vinci. Let me share. So we call it sketch note. In planning, we use this kind of sketch note, or advertising people, even designers call it storyboards, very basic matchstick figure storyboards. Da Vinci was already using these kind of plans 500 years ago. So this was his user experience. Use for user design, we use these kind of things. This was his equivalent of user experience. You can see the next one, next image. This is from Leonardo da Vinci's diary. It's in multiple volumes. He created many different designs. Here we can see it's a design for an automatic motor. His conveyor belt design was something similar. Can you see that? Is it visible? Just let me check.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
I would also request the audience who are here would please give thumbs
Yeah,
up in between when sir
please
is
give thumbs up
asking
in
so that we
between.
can have
And if you
clarity,
want to
all of
ask
us.
anything, if you want to talk through chat, we
Huh.
can't switch everyone's camera on all the
Yes.
time.
We would
If you
request
talk
you
through
all to
chat,
give a thumbs
then
up
we can
or put in chat.
converse. Yeah,
Correct.
then we can converse. Okay, I'll come to that man later. Let me go back to the
So your
PowerPoint
screen is
presentation.
closed now. You have to again
Yeah,
start your screen.
my screen is closed now. I will go back here. You can see it again. So Da
Yes,
Vinci
it's
was
loading.
there. Then
Yes.
during a little later, we can see 1700s, there were unions. Like today we have labor unions. At that time they had craft guilds. A lot of design things started around that time. I guess you are familiar with a few things about design. So we have typography, we have layout, we have color palette, we have the basic uh, design principles. So all these things started around this time, and during this time, early 1700, newspapers, regular newspapers were already there. Some of those newspapers are still existing, like the Spectator from the UK. That started around this time. It's still existing. I subscribe to it. So people started newspaper publication design. The name of the newspaper, which we call masthead, came around this time. Then cartoons. Today, the number of cartoons are less, but even 15, 20 years ago, there were a lot of cartoons in newspaper about political figures, about celebrities. It was like a little sarcasm, like little criticism. So these things were there. And uh, we can call these things the beginning of design. And they were using this. Think about a newspaper. Reading newspaper is user's interface. Sorry, is it user's experience, UX. When we are reading newspaper, we have the feel of the newsprint, the rough coarse paper. When we turn it, a lot of people still buy newspaper because they love that feel. A lot of people still buy books. They are not satisfied by ebooks. They love the touch and feel of the book. So this is the actual thing, how the paper is on the paper, how the masthead, the name of the newspaper, the date, the news in columns, the photographs, the cartoons, how they are arranged. We call that layout. Can be in 3 column, can be in 4 columns. All these are part of user interface. So we see that in a physical product like a newspaper or a magazine, user interface very much exists. It's not digital. It needs not be digital. We call it a physical product, and it's part of communication design. The factories make design measurable. Later, if you join communication design or any kind of design, you will see that we have to measure things with Illustrator, with Photoshop. We can measure things, we can make the column this millimeter high, this millimeter wide. And we can remember those measurements. So next day's newspaper, next day's magazine, next week's magazine look the same. So design is pretty much measurable. And then We come to 1955. This guy, remember his name, he is the design guru for UX, Henry Dreyfus. He will write a book. And from there, the term designing for people would be very popular. He said that any design must be for people. Design is a democratic choice. Whatever people love, the design should follow that. People should not follow design. And we have seen that time and again, that if design of something is bad, either if you don't change that design, either people will stop using that, or the designers must make necessary changes. I will tell you a mini story before I wrap it up. We all use Microsoft Windows. Windows came in 1990. They called it Windows version 3. I haven't used that. I use the next version, Windows 3.1. In Windows version 3, we couldn't boot into Windows. We all know computer booting. It takes some time for Windows to start. At that time, we used to start something else, another operating system called MS-DOS, Microsoft DOS. From DOS, if Windows program, Windows was another program. From DOS, if Windows application or program was in my computer, I used to type Win, W-I-N, and Windows started. Bill Gates, the owner of Microsoft, the chairman of Microsoft, CEO at that time, didn't keep any option to return to DOS. You start Windows, you are stuck to Windows. There were lots of games for DOS at that time. For example, the biggest games of that time, Caesar 2, Caesar 3, Sigmar Civilization, the action games like Doom, Heretic, Hexen, all these were DOS-based games. You couldn't play those from Windows. Windows games were very primitive because they used to take a lot of memory. But Bill Gates was like stubborn. He said, Windows is the next best thing. I'm giving them DOS because their systems are old. They may not support direct boot to Windows, but once you are in Windows, why would you like to come back to DOS? What happened? Apple was there. People stopped using Windows, started going to Apple, started going to other operating systems like Unix. So finally, Bill Gates had to bow down, maybe in 91, 92, I don't know exactly. So in the next version, Windows 3.1, which came in 1993, there was an exit button to DOS, return to DOS in Windows. Bill Gates had to bow down before users' choice, keeping users' experience in mind. Otherwise, people would stop using Windows. And there was a design change. We call it a UI change, user interface change. And this kind of user interface changes would be there multiple times in everything, websites, apps. In the initial days of Facebook, if you remember, Facebook started in 2004. I started using it avidly in 2006. Every week, Facebook's interface was new, almost every week, in 2007 primarily. And I was so frustrated. Previously, this column chat was on the left side. Suddenly, it came to the right side top. Next week, it was in the right side bottom. And I said, what are they going to do? That was too much. But finally, they got stable. They took users' experience in mind and they kept changing that. Same happened for Instagram. It's a long story. Anyway, so around that time, then Second World War came. I'm not going to show you images, but during Second World War, a lot of changes in other product design came. Planes cockpit, because things must be modified for safety during Second World War. Camera was modified. What we call DSLR led to something called, it's almost like today's non-DSLR cameras. Today, we have these new kind of cameras which are mirrorless. That type of camera came for the first time during Second World War. If you have used DSLR, you know that when we click SLR or digital SLR, there is a sound. Say, if you are shooting, if you are a photojournalist, and there are photographers from the army also, if you are shooting and the enemy is just a few feet away from you, this tuck sound, especially at night, it will be loud. It will be audible. So you'll be killed. So you need a silent camera. So DSLR led to me, I mean, it was mirrorless, yeah, not today's digital mirrorless, other kind of camera called rangefinder. That was from UX choice to UI change. Today's mirrorless cameras are much smaller, less heavy, came from the same thing. Now phones have camera. Phone cameras are getting much better day by day. Phone has some kind of camera where, I mean, probably you don't know, when you click an image, actually with iPhone or some high range Samsung cameras, when you click an image, actually you don't click one image. You click 4 to 8 or more images, and then all those images are combined to show you such a kind of image which no camera can click as a single image. We call that computational photography. That's why under any kind of lighting condition, iPhone clicks a superb image and takes a superb video because it's not a single image or a single video. That's also UI change from user experience. I'm not, and finally, this idea came that if something is missing from experience, we know design solves problems. It can be any kind of problem. The problem can be as I showed you, the glass bottle is so slippery that I don't get a grip. So every now and then the bottle breaks. I have to go for a new bottle. So give it a grip, give it a proper handle. That will solve the problem. So that's a functional problem. The problem can be aesthetic. It doesn't look so good. If it's a chair, reclinable chair, it should be reclinable. My back shouldn't hurt. I shouldn't have a backache. So that's an ergonomic problem. There can be these different kinds of problems, and designers bring solutions to this. Previously, people used to blame other people as if people are the problem. But gradually, we came to know that in any system which is malfunctioning, 90 to 95% of the time, there is some problem in the design of the product or design in how the system is working. So this idea also came that people aren't the problem. It's the system which is problematic. And something called design thinking started. And gradually, I'm not going too much into it. Ergonomics is comfort of use of a chair, of a car, of a bike, of a glass bottle, comfort of use in anything. We call that ergonomics, how comfortably you can use it. So that became a profession, and there UX as a profession began. So I stop here. From here, Trinankur will take up, because today I think I could give you some kind of comprehensive view about what is UX. But today, when we say UX, we usually talk about the digital era. It can be game interface, application, Android or any other phone application, phone app, website. There can be a button. If you push it, a new box opens, you have to write something there, or a new web page opens, it takes you to another website. It can be anything. You can do a virtual travel throughout the world using your website. And now we have those VR sets also. So VR UX design is the next step. Trinankur will start from here. He will talk about the digital products and the digital UX design. Mind it, under UX design, UI, interaction design, everything is included. He will talk about that. And
Sure.
I hand it off to you, Trinankur.
Thanks, Anurag. When are you back?
So thank you so much. We will have next 10 to 12 minutes or 15 minutes max. Then in the end, 10 minutes, I'll keep it for the Q&A.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
I'll quickly speak in the next 10 minutes.
I stopped
Thank you,
sharing
Shikha.
so that you
And
can.
sure, Maniman. And so you're around, I think, so we can take the questions together when Anirban is back. And I'll speak for not more than 10 minutes, because obviously, we have a fixed schedule here. But what I want to speak, because everyone has kind of elaborated on a number of things, why design is important and why design is problem solving, and has touched upon a number of things. I'll give you some visual examples. I have not kind of prepared a a PPT where you kind of have to read a lot because we have to do it quickly. And it's best that I tell you stories while I show you some images. These are basically just images. And let me share my screen for a bit. You have to, Shika, open this screen sharing for me. I think because I'm still disabled. Okay, so till that happens, let me quickly.
It's given, sir.
Uh,
You can align your screen sharing, please.
it's open. Okay, thanks. Right. I'll give you some examples from my own life.
Sir,
Yeah.
can we also lock the screen, please? Disable the annotation. Please check in your screen top bar, three dots, more
Okay.
options.
Okay. Three dots, more options, and
Disable annotation for others.
disable annotations for
Yes.
others. Okay, fine. Is
Thank
that
you.
done now? Yeah.
I guess
Okay.
so. Yeah.
I've done that. Yeah. So it should work. Okay. So I've kind of compiled a set of images which are some of them are from my own life, but you'll relate because this everybody knows. This, by the way, is this, right? Like what is this? Let me just ask because you never know whether people know or they do not. You can maybe like type out on the chat what this is. Just hoping you know. Um, where is my screen gone? You can
Yes.
see this, right? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I've received a reply from two of them.
Yes.
Elevator,
Yes.
elevator
Elevator. Yes.
for the lift.
Yes. Right. The
Yeah.
elevator panel, and this elevator panel happens to be from my flat. Now, I took a photograph earlier today to just like represent a problem that I have with this panel. I am in the ground floor. You see the G there. You see, the G, and then you have the mark which points upwards and does not mean much, right? I mean, what is that upwards, like, kind of half arrow kind of a thing? Now, that is basically the parking. And what happens is every few, hours, there will be somebody who's like getting down from, we are on G, and people assume that G is the ground floor, the bottom floor of the building, and they think that's the parking, but you have to actually go through the parking. And they vehemently try to open the door to our flat, which is on G, because they don't know what the symbol after that is, which is basically this upwards arrow. Now, what happens is like this is a design flaw. See, this is a simple design flaw. Now you'll wonder, like, is it a great thing? It can be a problem because if somebody barges into, like, imagine you have forgotten to like lock the door, and somebody barges in, and it has happened. Like, people have tried to kind of nearly break down because they think like they're caught up. They're trying to get out of the home, out of the house, and they're basically they think the door to outside is locked some way, and they can like push through, and it's an issue that often happens. But this often has led to more dire consequences. um Coming back to what Anirban was saying, that imagine you are in the cockpit of a Boeing 787, and this, like, this that happened a few last year when we had this, like, this horrible aircraft crash. And there was a theory that, I mean, it has been disproved since then. There has been a theory that was running that the the fuel switch looked so close to another switch, the switch that turns the closes the wheel door, that the captain probably had accidentally, like, kind of pushed the wrong button and had cut off the fuel to the engine. Now, it was not true. That was probably not true, because that's the now that's the common theory that no, because they had, like, corrected that, because this actually had happened in the past. This time, no, because they had actually corrected that. You have to, like, kind of take the switch, you have to, like, push it a little, like, then go over a ledge, and then you can, like, set it back to the to the position where the fuel stops. Now, the reason that the other theory had came around, was that this had actually happened in the past, where people had actually, like, the cockpit pilots, and they're a very high stress. They're in a job that's high stress. People constantly are, like, are trying to navigate a panel like what you can see here. It's a very complex panel. It's a complex panel where you have too many things on the display. Things are constantly blinking. It's giving you altitude. It's giving you, like, air pressure. It's giving you your the oxygen level. within the plane. It's giving you a number of things. It's giving you weather, and it's giving you the fuel levels. Imagine being in such a situation and then you have bad design. Now that's what design can do to you. Like, see, design can be simple, design can be devastating. Design can be simply a problem because people constantly try to, barge in our floor at this flat. They try to open the flat constantly. They bang on the door. They try to, break it down so that they can escape because they feel claustrophobic. It's not opening, though they're on the wrong floor. They're not, where you should actually kind of try to open the door. Really. And they can also lead to aircraft crashes. It has happened in the past where bad design has led to an entire aircraft crashing. There can be something in the middle as well. I remember when you're mostly from Delhi, are you? I don't know, anywhere. India has very bad signage on the roads. And there's this time when I was trying to get back from the airport in the morning and I had to reach office. And then I missed a card because there was no signage. I had to take a right after I left the airport. I needed to take a right. There was no board there that said city this way. They still don't have a good kind of board there. But what happened was I ended up kind of going round and round West Delhi. I was supposed to come to South Delhi, and I went round and round West Delhi, and there was no signage to kind of take me back. This is slightly before Google Maps. So, over 13, 14 years before now, I was in everywhere from West Delhi to Connaught Place, but I couldn't reach South Delhi back. See, design is actually therefore a problem solver. Like Anirban sir was saying that if you cannot hold a cup, it gives you a handle. In the extreme case of a handle, of something more than a handle, you have a plane, you have an airplane where things can come crashing down. Or you can have things like the simple inconvenience of people trying to get into your flat while they do not know how to get out. And or it can be something like you're forever lost in the maze of what the Delhi roads are. Now, how do we so I'm kind of assuming that you're all interested in design, and this gives us a lot of opportunity because you see while the world is in turmoil, we get to see that. I'll also because everyone mentioned newspapers complexity. I'll come to this a little later. Let me just kind of finish my train of thought. Now, not take if I cross my time, Shiva, please kind of remind me. So when we look at the world around us, what we are constantly noticing a few things. One is that the job market is in turmoil. And we really don't know which way this is going. Is this going this way? Is this going that way? Suddenly the jobs that were cool a few years back are not really, it doesn't seem it's very important anymore. Or the jobs that didn't seem made any sense now seem very important. Now, design is something, and because it has this human sense attached to it. And you have all probably used AI by now, obviously, who hasn't? Even if you take AI into consideration, these are things that only humans at times can solve. These situations where you have a human-centric solution that is necessary. I'll step back a little now, and I'll kind of quickly show you some examples that I think can inform us in what we're discussing here. For example, anyone was speaking about newspapers, media, how things can change, how they can be kind of addressing different kinds of audiences, viewership. The Times of India, for example, or the Guardian, the Guardian, caters to a different set of people, a different kind of readership. The Times of India represents what I was told, a bazaar in India. An Indian bazaar is chaotic, is complex, and it's something that we are used to. When you have the Guardian, which is the very popular newspaper, I'm sure you all know, in the UK, where people are not used to this chaos, the chaos of an Indian bazaar. they are used to something simpler. They're used to the story, and they go directly to the story. So how kind of your everyday problem, your everyday necessities inform design, and this is the senses. This is what I like, going back to what I was saying, that that this is what basically makes a human designer a necessary a very necessary person who can indicate which way a business can go. A business can go towards which way our as consumers our eyes can go, or as simply a matter of safety, how we should kind of inform people with icons, with designs. Uh, I'll give you another example how things can become simpler. The anybody knows this? What this is? This is kind of easy to say, but if you can write on the chat box. I'll just wait half a minute to see if anybody replies to this. I
Yeah,
think I can see this, right?
I think 2-3 of them are asking in terms of Can you repeat the question, please?
Oh, what design does this represent? On the screen, what you have, what is this? What is
One
this
of them has
representing?
written it's the map, it's the travel map.
Of
metro map. It's the
yeah.
map of Manhattan. Someone has written.
Yes. Right. So, let's not go any further. Like the left one, which is more complex, and I'll also going to ask you this, and you can form your opinion by yourself. You don't have to write it down, but to my mind, what you see here are two similar representations, right? But the same representations, but done in a very dissimilar fashion. You can see that they're actually the same map. On the right, you have it's written Manhattan, and you can see that in the river there. The river is in straight lines and diagonal lines. But on the left, you have a river which is actually, it actually follows the contour of a real river. When you have the metro lines on the left, on the subway lines on the left, you'll see that the subway lines are actually somewhat truthfully representing what a subway line might look like. Because it kind of it doesn't go in absolutely straight lines. It kind of meanders a little. It kind of goes left and right. There are no straight lines. On the right, however, and this is a very famous map, on the right, it's called by this person, this very famous designer called Venelli, who developed this map, this very regular map, and it was not used for a long time. It has now, after 45 years, it has been brought back by New York. They were using the map on the left, which is the more complex map, and which is very difficult to follow because you have a lot more information there, but the information is not organized in a regular pattern like on the right. That one is much more simpler in the manner of how lines are taken. It's very easy to follow. Now, the criticism, one of the main criticisms of the map to the right was that it's not realistic because, from point 1 to point B or point 2 or point A to point B, the map to the right shows equal distances. It's not realistic. While on the map on the left, which is the more colorful map, but more dull as well, you actually see the actual representation of distances. So a person who was actually looking at this map would exactly know what the distances were between two places. And they chose the first one for 45 years. Then they went back to the one before. However, in the middle, like every other map in the entire world has been inspired by the map on the right, which was not used by New York for the longest time, half a century. Now they're going back. Now, does it matter? The point is that, does it matter if you know how long the distance is between a Rajouri garden and Connaught Place? You don't really care. What you want to know is a regularized pattern which simplifies things for you. The simplification is an important thing for design, and which is why I often if we mention back the Boeing cockpit, it's very important to simplify things because when we, as humans, we are actually, we are used to focus on certain things. When things become very complex, we lose focus. So we have to prioritize. As a designer, we have to prioritize between, two things, which one to take. For example, this. Now, can you remember a smiling face, a real face? not very clearly. What happens is, we actually try to, and we all actually remember emojis. Emojis are so close to us, and we know that a smiley is a smiley. We know a crying face is a crying face. We know an angry face, because it's basically taking the gist out of the expressions. We are taking the central theme out of an expression. Our faces are very complex. I mean, I can look angry now, and you'll not remember me the next moment. If I look elated now, very happy, like exuberant, you will not remember my facial expressions the next moment. What you'll remember is basically this smile or the anger. So simplification and therefore amplification. Very important how we look at design and how we we shape user experience around that. Now, what I'm doing here is basically, because Anirban has spoken about this in a structured manner, I'm basically showing you parallels in visuals, because I think that is kind of important. Now, when you look at this, for example, you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what these faces mean, but do we ever write it down? What these faces mean? No. Did you ever read a set of instructions that, well, see this, if we have this, this thing, it means a smile? No, you figured it out yourself. You figured it out yourself. You saw it, you knew. And so this is basically the the nice thing about design, that it's basically beyond words. It's basically creating the theme of taking the theme of a certain situation out, and amplifying it in such a way, and simplifying at the same time, that when you look at it, that okay, this is exactly what this means. Now, as a designer, and this is where the opportunity lies, because not everybody is good at this, and a designer is supposed to do that. A designer is supposed to take the basic theme out, figure it out first. Like, what is our basic interest? What is our basic representation that we are doing? And things fail horribly. And do you know any of this? Any of you know this? What this is? This is a screenshot from something. I'll not waste time on waiting for you. Anyway, so if you know that Meta, had Zuckerberg had announced this kind of sort of gamified reality, which is called metaverse, a few years back. And when he was kind of giving the demo version of introducing the introduction demo introduction of this virtual reality space called metaverse, he shared this video, and I'll show you what was wrong with this video. It's a normal thing. You can see Zuckerberg sitting with a friend there, and Zuckerberg looks very normal. And he was, we were supposed to interact on that space, in the virtual space where we could meet friends from across the world. It was kind of a verse, a universe which was basically recreated online, and people rejected it right away. Now, where was the difference? Now, this was basically something that was an animation. It was basically an interaction. When they actually went on to Metaverse, when they joined, they realized nobody had a lower torso. Like, they were basically floating upper torsos. And that created a dissociation in people so deep that people entirely rejected that. Now, that is bad design. When you spend billions of dollars upon a design which ends up being a failure just because you could figure out the coding for the lower torso. I mean, it's fine. It can be a very difficult thing. I'm sure lower torsos are not very easy to design. But the point is when you do that and you do not figure out this basic thing, then you have a problem in design. You have a problem in user interface. You have a problem in user interaction, because people floating like that cannot have a sense of meanness, that I'm not complete, I'm floating, I'm floating, some upper torso floating, and I'm I can be chatting, talking with anybody, but I feel like a floating ghost. They completely rejected that. So this is examples of major fails, and now things are changing, I mean, and the reason that I'm talking about this is that as aspiring designers, as people already designing, as people who think the design can make a change, the world is changing at a very quick pace. And the reason that I'm saying this is I'm going to for example, we are consumers of we consume at a very quick pace things like Netflix, right? OTT was but the moment we see this, and this has happened before as well, people here most of you
No,
are much younger.
I'm sorry, but can we take up Q&A because we just have like, it's been
Yeah,
60 minutes
sure,
and
sure,
the
sure, sure.
council. So yeah,
Sure,
you
sure,
give
sure.
me
I'll
2
stop
minutes.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 minutes you can wrap it up and then I'll put across two, three questions.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. That's absolutely fine. So, things are changing quickly. So I'll tell you, like, for example, the way we consume, the pattern of consumption of, like, media is changing. For example, we now have, like, micro drama, which is changing the way we see things. Like, on the left, we have Netflix. On the right, we have this new thing called micro drama. It's changing the way we consume dramas. Like, it has, like, made our videos like vertical. um to wrap it up, like, see, it's basically like, the way things are changing is basically like, do you know what this is? I'm not going to ask you because then that'll, like, spend 15 more seconds. Basically, like, so if we have a parallel drawn from history, it was basically like, that the going around the Cape of Good Hope, like, people did trade in a very different way in the 1450s, till the 1450s, where they didn't know how to they hadn't figured out how to go around the Cape of Good Hope. They were, like, kind of trying to go around Africa, and they couldn't. And most of you, like, who have done your history bit, you'll know this, that, then people went around. Then there was Vasco da Gama, and then entirely the entire way, the pattern of how trade was done changed. So we are at a moment where we are in front of AI, and AI is going to, kind of empower us, also destroy certain, like, bits of our, like, way of doing things. Now it's up to us to figure out how things are taken in the future. Now, this is basically that moment where we go around the Cape of Good Hope, and we have actually crossed the Cape of Good Hope, and we are in a new water all, entirely. And now, because we are talking about AI, this is what AI does to you. It augments your capabilities, but you have to, like, take it up. Like, if you're going to be a designer, yes, AI will, like, enable you majorly. AI will give you the tools that you, like, kind of need to design. It will make you as one person. It will empower you to make the work that an entire team does. But we need to learn how to use these tools, because unless we do that, then we actually are in grave trouble. Which is why I think design education is incredibly important these days, because we need to know the tools the way they're changing. I'll stop here, and you can have your questions.
Sure.
Thank you, Shika.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, sir. So quickly, I'll be putting across 3 questions to you, both of you, and I'm just unmuting Anirban sir also. So first question, what are the careers that comes to your mind? Some top 3 to 4 careers which you want students to focus, which has got global acceptability also. Like, we do understand that in medical or in law, we see if the students are coming from one part of the country to another country, then there are some kind of that particular country implications and the courses that need to be done by the child. But when we talk about careers and courses in UX or in communication design, how do you see global acceptability of the programs which are being offered by institute like yours?
Okay, I will start it. After that, Srinankur can add points. Say, when it comes to courses on UX or a broader course like communication design, the important thing is for whom are we creating products, digital products, or to whom we are communicating. If we are communicating for Indians, then the best people are Indians only, because we understand the vibes. Culture plays an important role here. And I'm not talking only about Indians or South Asians, but yeah, I mean, we have the largest population of the globe here in South Asia. So already the market is here. Even if we go abroad, we already have the best market and we can cater to them. And that's why learning communication design or UX, creating things for customized things for users who live in South Asia, it's much better to study design somewhere in South Asia, somewhere in Delhi, where we are situated, Delhi NCR, than going abroad, than going to other places. And exactly this is why Indian design education is going ahead, because we may be global, but in certain things, our culture, our inclinations are still rooted in Indian society. And that's how the new designers are keeping that in mind. That's why we are not creating products or any kind of design just by imitating or by going with the vibes of the Western people. I feel that, yeah, Srinankur can add something.
Yes, if I may add to you, Anirban, thanks. That's a good introduction. So, to the second part of the question is, what would somebody want to study? Now, see, that's another thing, because all design verticals actually address some problem or the other. It's not like design is basically a problem solving thing. It's basically a tool that solves problems. Now that is why in most courses like this you have a foundation course. You have a foundation course which teaches the student everything. It takes care of all the foundation principles, and then a student can, in consultation with the faculty, they can also choose their own calling, because some person can say like, no, I'll go into product design. Someone can say, oh, no, I want to design aeroplanes. I want to design like kind of something automotive. I want to design like something product wise. I want to design chairs, because chairs a great problem, right? Like everybody has a back pain. Now some person can just design chairs, but the point is that once one gets there, whether it's communication that one is trying to solve, or chairs, or the back problem, is something that one can also, one can have an idea from beforehand. No? Some person can be motivated towards a certain design from even before they join. But if you have a foundation course that also shows you newer ways of approaching problems, and the problems can be many, because in every direction you have one problem or the other, and where you need a designer to come and say, no, 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 it is not like this. You have to do it a little differently, because this is more ergonomic, or this is more communicative, or this will save a few lives. Yeah.
I just want to add to this. Yeah, Srinankur, you're absolutely correct. I would just like to add something to it. As I said in the beginning of this discussion, that everyone requires communication designer, but communication designer may not require everyone from all trades. If there's no designed communication, other things won't be met. If you can't communicate, then everything will be chaotic. So
Absolutely.
their communication designer comes, and whatever you create, whatever you make, it can be a chair, an aeroplane. We say from an elephant to a board pin. It can be a government to a publication like Times of India, newspaper house. Anything will fall on its face, fall apart, if communication designers are not there, because people won't be able to sell what they create. There won't be any public image perception in consumers' mind about them. There won't be any brand. So we create those stories, we create brand. And inside communication design, UX is a little special, because as we said, that almost like communication design itself, almost everything is covered by UX, because everything is users' experience and how they gather that experience by using that thing. The moment they start using something, they interact with that product or service, and whatever is in that product, in the website, the way the website is created, the way it looks, feels, that is its user interface. So whatever you use, UX is there. And who designs that UX? UX designer. You can be an engineer. I don't know how to create, even Trinanku doesn't know how to make an automobile, how to create a Ford gari, a Ford car. But doesn't matter. That is part of an automobile engineer or mechanical engineer's job. I can always say or always see how comfortable the inside of the car would be, which things should be where, how comfortable it would be to maneuver the car. That will be my design. I don't need to know how internal combustion engine works.
Sure, sure,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
So I'll move on with the next question.
Yeah.
Skills. Top three skills that you want student to understand. If they possess or if they develop, then this particular domain is right for them.
I open the question first to Trinankur. Maybe our skill sets
Then I
match. Yeah.
what exactly is the question? Like, top three skill sets for what?
Top three skills for the students. Like when we talk about a child is more
Yeah.
towards analytical, we want child to go towards research and all, right? If the child is
Yes.
more in terms of speaking and too much into outgoing, we prefer them going to the marketing domain and all. So when we talk
Yes.
about three skills majorly that you want that students who are pursuing this career need
Yes.
to have to sustain, to grow, and to explore.
Right. So, the first thing is, I think, many skills can be developed, in the course of a certain, kind of education that one is getting, it's a 4 years or 5 years or whatever, how many years, or maybe further education, the skill sets develop. But what I would absolutely want is an interest, because I often see that, that people come with a lack of interest, and then they, think that they'll figure out things, so there has to be an interest in the problem solving, so yes, the skill that I want to have is, a student to have is that they should have the interest in solving problems. They should have that interest in figuring things out. It's a puzzle, right? It's a puzzle, and puzzle solving is very essential to any kind of design solutions. And see, there can be good designers, there can be mediocre designers, but I actually want designers all that for teaching. We are teaching to be the best. So yes, they should have that drive in them. Also, I think some kind of visual, exposure is good, even though that can be developed later on. People with interest, they can always later on figure out how to sketch, how to do certain kind of bits and pieces of things. So yes, those I think are very essential to this. And see, research, yes, absolutely. So anything that you would want, um, I mean, any person who's coming to this kind of a stream would really need to have certain basic interests, which is in researching, in in visual research especially. People would need to see things very often. I often see that students do not see enough. They're often kind of not looking at designs, the options that one has, so there are so many things that we can just look at Behance or look at Instagram even, and see that there's so many things to kind of learn from. So a curiosity is, I think, a very important thing that a student should have. A curiosity and the drive to solve things, solve puzzles. Anirban, I think, can be, being the head
Yeah,
of our department, he knows better.
my voice is coming properly. I just connected
Yes.
a headphone. It's coming properly, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
You're
Thank you. Yeah, I absolutely agree with Srinankur. I will just add a few things to it. See, interest means someone does that activity regularly, at least twice a week. And when it comes to interest and infatuation, that's the difference. So you are doing that activity, you may not be great in it, so you can always develop the ability, but you feel that I love design, but you never tried your hands on it. You don't do any kind of anything related to design, any kind of problem solving in a year, then I won't call it an interest. It will be an infatuation. So you need to have an interest. Second, what is very important, in my opinion, is adaptability, because tools always change, technologies always change. Design happens here in your brain, in your mind. So design means how you will solve it. You can see the end result. So you must have it. You must have that adaptability to work in any kind of change tools, in any kind of environment. And you should always be ready to learn new stuff. And yeah, there's another thing which is related to what Trinankur said. Trinankur said you have to visually oriented. I would say all your sensory perceptions should be very proper. You should be very observant. See the
true.
reality, observe the
Sure.
reality. Yeah.
Great. I also would request you all, I have shared details of IMS Dia with you all, would request you all to kindly go through it and connect with the mentors. Along with that, I've also shared the Facebook and an Insta page for iEducationalize for you all to like and subscribe in terms of getting the updates about the courses, about such kind of webinars for the students, for teachers, and for the principals. An opportunity for you all to connect not only just with the students from India, but also from Middle East Asia and SAARC nations, as well as the teachers and mentors also from the similar domain and countries. The last question, sir, you are representing IMS Dia. What
Yeah.
is so unique about it, and why IMS Dia? We have got lots of universities which are definitely offering these courses. You are based in Noida, which is one of the biggest and the fastest growing hub for the talent in India. What brings the picture of IMS Dia as one point where you feel that this is one point where all what was discussed in terms of the changing landscape in RX and communication design, which can play a very important role and should be choice for the student?
Number one, we don't make tool users. I mean, Tool is important. Tool is like English language, but just by learning English language, people can't make a career. They need to go for further training in anything, in journalism, in ad copywriting, or something using language. So tool is basic. We all learn tools completely as much as possible. But we learn to think and act like a designer. Most institutes, universities, I'm sorry to say, are not teaching that. So tool is basic. We start beyond from there and go much beyond that. Second, we see through the whole problem, and then it's something like how to think like a designer and find very creative and ergonomic functional solutions to this. Third, which is very important, we made a completely refurbished new syllabus for today. I'm not sure anyone else in India is doing that. So we saw how other international top bodies are working, and we tried to incorporate and even at places surpass them. And AI is a major assistant or helper here. Here, we are probably the only design schools where we create our own designer custom GPTs, our custom AI agents, and those AI agents work like our assistant. They make the execution process easier for you, but they know our personality and they work along with us. And definitely the last point, which is also equally important, we are connected to the industries, and all our courses or papers, what you say normally in college, papers like subjects, are project oriented. Those projects are industry level projects. Some projects are actually connected to industries, and every semester end we send our students to internship where they take whatever they learned to the place of internship and they contribute largely. They learn things from the industry there also, and they bring that experience back. So these would be 3 or 4 major
Sure.
points about DIE.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. With that, we have come towards the end of our webinar. I would again repeat to all my delegates in terms of counselors and students who have joined in across to please connect with Anirban sir and Trinankur sir for any kind of assistance and guidance, any kind of support. Also share details of IMS DIA for you all to stay connected and take things forward. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much. It was a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Shikha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.